All right, you guys, welcome back to another Thursday night wrap-up. We have one great game of footy. If you are a Nathan Cleary fan, 46-6. What a game that was in terms of fantasy for a lot of these Panthers guys. A lot, especially the attacking ones, but then we'll talk a little bit about it further. But some of the forwards and some guys that weren't big on the attacking side and needed a few defensive stats. There's some alarming signs there with how good the Panthers are looking, and most people tip that this is going to be a 13 plus game at least, with obviously a big score there. But let's start with him. How many people were doubting old Cleary at halftime? He just does everything, right? He fills up that stat sheet. He's got the goals there, the odd try assist. He can score the tries when he needs to. He got the tackles, 6 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, 140 run meters, and 540 kick meters. So amazing game for Cleary. And if you don't have him, it's a little bit unfortunate at the moment. He's going to be up at about 1.05 mil, I'd imagine, which is going to be crazy. And yes, I've seen a lot of people trying to blow up their team for him. And look, I understand why you'd want to do that, but it's just going to be crazy. How long can he keep this up? He's averaging 90 over the first 3 games. So crazy effort from him. And obviously, if you captain him, you're a happy person. I think he's just owned by just under 40% of people. But yeah, amazing work. Cleary is needed at some point in the year. And you think about a lot of these guys, a lot of these halves especially, the average around that 100 meters gained. They just get so many extra, the tackle breaks, the offloads, and then you're thinking your tries and line breaks there, which is crazy. And if you're a dominant kicker as well, you're just banking, he's banking 27 points there on any given night. So amazing work for Cleary. And we move on to Brian To'o, and another great game from him. He's just a battering ram, isn't he? Like, good luck stopping him one-on-one. He's crazy. 200 meters gain, very much the standard. 8 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 2 tries. Awesome work for him. And we've spoken about him as someone who's going to have that 30 to 40 sort of base. And, he'll have a game or two like that where he doesn't score a try. But when he does, he's going to have these big games. And he's got a couple of 70 odds now. First game and this one here for an average of 59. So a clear keeper in the wing fullback this year in a team that's going to do really well. We move on to Viliame Kikau, and he's been amazing as well in the same right, averaging 60.8 over the first few games, and has a whole bunch of tries, which is really cool. And I think he's only getting better as a player, and this average won't keep up. You can probably think of him averaging close to around 50, which is a little bit more than previous seasons. But well done if you decide to start with him this year. And he's had an amazing start for you. He'll be up over 650k this week. And well done to him there. But yeah, he's obviously relying on a bunch of those tries and tackle breaks there. But with the team that's so good in the Panthers, they can get him one-on-one very easily. And he's coming off the back fence, and with Luai there calling the shots on that left side, it's very hard to stop. He got To'o on the outside, and Burton was in there too. But I'll talk about Jerome now. He's 64 in his time, and he was kind of the maestro. Like, Cleary gets the spoils in terms of the fantasy points, but that's because of the kick meters as a big one, and then just does a little bit of everything. But Luai's, for him to only get 2 tackle breaks, there's so many times where he'll actually just step a guy completely, like he'll do his little quick sidestep and miss them, so he just doesn't even get a bust. But he's completely in everything. He's got 3 try assists down their side, and a lot of their tries are being scored there. Obviously, Momorowski got one later in the game, but general rule of thumb, they're going left, and that's where all their attacking stars are, with Cleary, shifting over to that side when he needs to. But amazing work from Luai, and I think that average of 51 is perfect for him. I think he's going to do that for the remainder of the season. If he keeps that 50 average up, then he's a little bit underpriced at his 600k clip at the moment. So you're expecting around 80 points of upside, 80k of upside for Jerome. So really cool. Someone that shouldn't play Origin, so a really cool option if you are needing someone in that mid price, but there's so many halves at the moment. Maddie Burton, 487k, just in the halves position. Would have been really cool if he was locked into the center position, because I think a lot of people would have picked him up as a center option this week. But 61, got the try assist, the try, a couple of line breaks, just does a bit of everything. He's a really solid player, and it's going to do really well when he moves to the Dogs next year. And I can't believe people are like, oh, why the hell aren't they releasing him to the Dogs early? Like, Panthers want to win a comp this year. Burton's going to be a big part of that. Just seeing how many injuries there are this year, he's going to you'd expect him to play at least half the games this year. He's probably got the next month of play, and then if an injury goes to one of Luai or Cleary, then he's 100% needed. Who have they got in cover? I don't even know who they have. So Burton, amazing player, doing really well, and don't know if we'll get him at a cheap rate next year. But anyway, we'll go from there. Fisher Harris, 54, so a little bit above his average. Got a nice try assist in through the middle there. So well done if you own him. But I wouldn't be expecting anything more than around a 50 average this year. Momorowski. So someone I thought about bringing into my team at 447, so a little bit of a discount. My thoughts for him is just I'm not sure if he's going to be a keeper. There's the thoughts of Naden possibly coming back, but I think Momorowski's done well enough to keep that spot for now, and Naden would have to come back through an injury to another backline player. But yeah, my thoughts for him is just I'm not exactly sure if he's a keeper. He's just going to be relying on a fair bit of attacking stats to get to that keeper level, and I thought I didn't want to make many trades in my center position, so I decided to lock in Manu as he's been a clear keeper for the last few years. And in a really strong side in the Roosters. But with Mommy, it's the very same situation. Strong side in the Panthers. He's going to get attacking options, attacking chances. He's going to be getting one-on-one with defenders a lot, and being able to get those tackle breaks and do well with that. Averaging around that a bit over 100 meters and scoring a try every sort of second week. So really cool option. Did well to pick up a try at the end and bump him up from that sort of mid to high 30s to a 53. So awesome work if you picked up him. He's going to be up over 470, 480 after this week there. So well done if you own him. It was a really cool night for people that had Cleary and Momorowski, for example. But Josh Aloiai was clearly the best player on the Eagles side. He was breaking the line very regularly and got 180 meters with 5 tackle breaks. So well done to him, but he's not going to be fantasy relevant at that 570 price. Mosley Odo, I'd imagine most people traded in this week, unfortunately, and he got a nice try at the start of the game, but still very low minutes, and we're seeing that for across the Panthers pack just because they have so many good options, and I think there definitely needs to be an injury to any of those guys for them to score pretty well, and it's pretty crazy. Like last year, they pretty much had no injuries, and it's the same this year so far. So fingers crossed to them that they can do it because they're really fun to watch, this Panthers side. Trbojevic, I think just how bad Manly are going and how many points are getting put on against them. There's just there's so many breaks in play, and Trob needs that closer game where he's just making a heck of a load of tackles, but still making 140 meters, which is kind of more than he used to do. But he's usually around that 40 tackles made, and he's just not getting that, unfortunately, at the moment in this Manly pack. In the way they're playing is just not good enough. So kind of worrying signs. Average of 49.3 now, which is where he's averaging currently. Where he's priced at currently, but he's a worry at this stage. You're plugging him in for at least a 50, but if he's getting a bunch of scores in the 40s and no real upside above 50, it's a little bit of a pain at the moment. Cherry Evans looks like it's going to be a roller coaster for him against the really top teams. He's going to get somewhere in the 40s, and then against some of the lesser teams, he should get that 60 to 70. So I did have people asking if they should get rid of him this week, but he was coming off a 78. Like I don't know why you'd be getting rid of someone like that who is a keeper. He's averaging 56.5 now over the first month, so not terrible. I did expect him to average around 60, so there's some upside there. Once they get Trob back, maybe they improve a little bit, but I wouldn't be panic selling Cherry. Getting smashed 46 to 6 as a half and still getting 43, you're doing okay. Tapau's just not doing as well. Obviously, with them not having the ball as much, doesn't have the ball in his hands and less chance of getting offloads and tackle breaks. Isaiah Yeo with a slightly lesser game, and as I said, this is what's going to happen in these types of teams where they might play bigger minutes for a few weeks when the games are close, but then when they're a little bit more of a smashing 46 to 6, then they'll take that rest when they need it and play the bigger minutes against some of those better teams. And we'll talk about Capewell as well. Picked up a try, but 64 minutes for 33 points. Just didn't have to do a lot, obviously, in attack. He was spent obviously the first part on the right, and Kikau is the dominant player when he's on the field. So didn't have to do a lot there in attack and didn't get any tackle breaks. But then defensively, he's someone that he relishes those big close games where he can make close to 40 tackles, get over 100 odd meters, and make that decisive play at the end of a game like he did last week. So for me, Capewell is going to be a big roller coaster, 60 to 70, and then a 30 odd. And if you can handle that, then he's okay, because at a 46 average, he's priced under that at this current stage. So that's a mid 600s price score there. So, about 630, 640. So he's about 100k undervalued if he can keep that 45. So he's definitely not a sell at the moment, but he's someone to worry, and he messes with your brain having to deal with that all the time. Foreign in there with 40. Schuster with 39 in his 80 minutes. So again, just in a team that's really struggling. I think, if that's his base at 40, and then if he gets some attacking stats or the odd tackle break and offload with a few extra meters and 65, then he'll score around that 50 to 60 mark. So really going to be a really good money maker for the squads at the moment. And you can definitely play him each week if that's going to be his base in a team where you get absolutely hammered. Stephen Crichton, people were talking about, picked up 35 with a nice try saver, but just didn't get the tackle breaks that you would have hoped or the attacking stats in a team that really dominated. And he did really well coming out of trouble. I think he was positionally, he did really well and was able to. You can see he was really attacking the ball even if it was coming out in half. So the confidence is there, and I think he'll pick up some attacking stats over the next few weeks. You can see Dylan Edwards is a bit like that sometimes. It's just not as much happening. He kind of just does his job, and then the next week he'll go nuts. So if you've picked him up, or if you still have him, I think he's still definitely a hold. Mitch Kenny, same thing. Just didn't have to do as many tackles, so had a slightly lower game and a bit annoying if you've picked him up over the last few weeks. Lockie Croker got 30, and he's definitely ready to be milked. That'll be his last price rise, I would imagine. As an average of 34 puts him closer to around that 400k mark, and that'll be the end of him there. So well done if if you've had him and kept him after a very slow first round. You've picked up sort of 60 to 70 in price rises, which we'll take at this point in the year. Martin Kepi, Lenu's just not getting enough minutes. He's really annoying me. I picked him up in round 2 after the great start. He's had an all right score, but an average of 34. He's in the same boat as Croker. He's almost getting to his max price unless there's an injury and he gets more minutes. Because if he does, he's going to be gun a PPM of over 1 every time. 24 minutes is just not enough, man. They just have too many options on the bench. They have Eisenhuth, they have him. They got Tyrone May replaced him and played through the middle as well. So they got four guys playing through the middle. So unless there's an injury, then his minutes are going to be lower, unfortunately. So he's probably got to end up being a sell in the next few weeks. You can hold him. He's not going to lose your cash, and just hope for an injury or hope for an increased role. But I don't think it's going to happen. Charlie Staines is definitely a sell if you still have him. They're just going left too much, and he's not getting the involvement. Came on and finished off in fullback at the back end of the game and got a nice try assist, but he's just not doing enough, unfortunately, for anyone's side. Dylan Walker with 19 in his 80-minute stint had a little bit of an issue, hammy issue, I believe, near the end of the game, and so the last sort of 10 to 15 minutes he was limping around, but before he went off with 4 to go. But he's definitely going to be a sell now with Chob coming back, and unfortunately he didn't get a decent last game out of him, and no real price rise is actually going to go down over his 4-week stint. So slightly annoying if you own him, and guys like Jasewski and Saab are sells. How bad? He's 0 in 80 minutes. What a pickup. If you still have him, he's just going to sit there and do nothing. I think you just got to get rid of him. He's just a waste of space. And if you have an emergency player, he's just going to come in and cop that for your wing fullback. So you may as well just play with 16. Oh, God. Anyway, guys, if you're enjoying these, please hit like and subscribe. Really appreciate all the love. That's our Thursday night wrap up. We'll get into Good Friday's matchups. The first game's at 4 o'clock today, so be ready with that one. Just make sure you're on to that. It's a little bit earlier today, and we have the Monday game as well, so it's a little bit different this week. So just make sure you're checking up on the fixtures and you're going from there, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you in the next one.